Jamie Thomas was there from Winnipeg Jets TV. And JT, it's always a good day following the Winnipeg Jets. But this season, man, you must pinch yourself every day. This is a hell of a hockey team. A wagon, I think they say.
Yeah, I agree with you on that on many fronts. It's a much different team than the 17-18 team that steamrolled through the entire regular season, Rod. And I'll tell you why. It's obviously when you go 26 consecutive games with allowing 3 goals or less, it tells you to the commitment to defense first that the Jets are using this year. And of course, a ton of depth up front, brought in by that trade with the Los Angeles Kings, with Pierre-Luc Dubois going to the Kings, and of course 3 players in a draft pick coming here as well. So defensively responsible, and then allowing offense to flow from that. So you're right. It has been a lot of fun. They've started slow in a couple of games here out of the gate in the Christmas or out of the post-Christmas schedule. But they stick with their structure. They don't panic, and you're seeing the results with the 9-game point streak, which is it ties a franchise record.
Isn't that interesting you say that? Because I don't think the fans do understand. It is the logo is the same. That's about it. There's some key players, too.
Yeah.
It's a new head coach, big trade, as you said, different culture.
Yeah.
You got some different faces, a different system, but there's a belief. This is what I saw last night because I watched the game. Tampa had the lead for the first half of the game. The Jets didn't seem to care. It's like they knew they were going to come back and win the game.
Yeah, there just seems to be that belief that if you stay with everything and you listen to what the coaches have been preaching for a year and a half now, right? This is a year and a half. They've been in this structure, that Rick Bowness and Scott Arniel and the coaching staff have been trying to drill down. And I think clearly from the start of the year, they're like, wow, if we don't try to look for offense and we stick with defense first and make sure our goaltender is taken care of at our own end and our breakouts are proper, are structured in the neutral zone, not trying cross-ice passes that aren't there, not passes that have a hope and a prayer on them. So it's amazing when you listen to the coaching staff and believe in the system and your teammates as well, that what you can do. And the amazing part of all this too, Rod, is you had Gabe Vilardi missing 20 games to start the year. You've had Kyle Connor out of your lineup for a long stretch here right now, and he likely won't be back until after the All-Star break. So you have your top goal scorer out of the lineup, and you're still scoring goals the way that they have. But again, going back to the original point, you're playing defense first. And of course, it certainly doesn't help or hurt, that you have Connor Hellebuyck behind you whenever the defense does break down, which doesn't happen very often 5-on-5.
Well, the nice thing for him, he's not like Dominic Hasek back there where he's relied on every night to get the win. And if he doesn't have a great night, they don't win. By the way, I think you're old enough. I think you and I are the same age. Remember that old commercial? When you said proper, you know what I thought of? MC Hammer.
What?
Was it Dr. Pepper? When you look back,
Yes.
Remember?
Hey, Rod, too legit.
Anyway,
was a big part of the 20s.
Right, yeah, and a great part of it.
Yeah.
You're in our stable of Winnipeg guys. Yourself, Hustler, Sean Reynolds comes on here regularly. I'm not sure I ever did ask. The key, one of the big keys going into the year was the long-term deals for Scheifele and Hellebuyck. I'm not sure I asked why they explained why they did that. I mean, explain it why it's so nice to not have that cloud over the team, and why was it important for them to get that done when they did?
Yeah, I think it was because there was the doubt, right? And anytime a player here and there's any hesitation of somebody wanting to stay in Winnipeg, that insecurity kind of creeps in a little bit. If you're a Winnipeg Jet fan, nobody wants to play here. That is certainly not the case. And Mark Scheifele made that clear after the contract extension was signed, that it was important to him to be a Jet for life, because Steve Yzerman was his favorite player. Steve Yzerman played his entire career with the Detroit Red Wings. Mark Scheifele wanted that on his legacy, that he wanted to be a Jet forever. And it helps that deal comes together and Connor Hellebuyck and Mark Scheifele go in the Jets dressing room, make the announcement together, and the loud cheer that came afterwards, the relief for everybody. And I'll start with Mark Scheifele. Imagine you go into your last year contract, you have no idea how your future is what your future looks like, and you've never said that you didn't want to be here at least outwardly, to anybody publicly. So I think Mark Scheifele wanted to be here from the start. Now you have this contract. Unless there's a trade or something down the road that happens or an injury, you're going to finish your career as a Winnipeg Jet. Now that's off your shoulders. Now you can just play hockey. You've had Nikolai Ehlers, you've had Kyle Connor, you've had Gabe Vilardi on your side here. So I think Mark Scheifele has been freed up to play the way he wants to play, knowing that he has the security of a 7-year extension and can be the player that he's supposed to be here in Winnipeg. And then Connor Hellebuyck, no question, you can't find a goaltender like him, Rod. There's just not anybody like him out there that plays 65 to 70 games a year. They're just not there. And we've seen teams be successful with the 1-2 punch and goal, your 1A and 1B. And all apologies, of course, to Laurent Brossoit, who's been tremendous this year. But Connor Hellebuyck is the goaltender and the top goaltender in the National Hockey League right now for a reason. And no matter what they did, or no matter what trade they would have made for Connor Hellebuyck, they would have not got the proper return. And Kevin Cheveldayoff said that in July on free agency. It leaves a big hole in our organization if we trade one or the other or both players. So those holes do not have to be filled because Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuyck are going to be here for the next 7 years.
Well, it's interesting. John Liu is also part of our Winnipeg gang, of which you're in. And John said on this show that just walking into the room, it feels lighter. And I shouldn't assume why that is. Is it part of because these long-term deals are done, or is it because of personnel changes? Or obviously you feel it too. What would you say is the reason for that?
Well, I think personnel changes plays a large part of it. And we constantly hear coaches or GMs say that you have to change the culture in your dressing room. You got to have a shift. So let's just start with the captain, Adam Lowry, a Prairie kid, Alberta boy, right? So that is your captain. And this is no knock on the previous captain at all, but Adam Lowry, I think, is that blue-collar player that fits into what Winnipeg people are, right? They're hardworking people. It is a grind being here in the wintertime. Adam Lowry has embraced being a Winnipeg Jet his entire career. So the change in the new captain plays a role in that, allowing other voices to come through. The Nate Schmitz, the Brendan Dillons, the Dylan DeMellos. Nikolai Ehlers has been around a long time. Kyle Connor has been around a long time. All those guys now have a voice, and that was what was important to Rick Bowness last year when he took the captaincy away from Blake Wheeler, to get more voices in the dressing room. More people have a say. Neil Pionk's in there as well. So I can go down the list of all the veteran players in that room that know the game, know the system, and know what it's like to be a Winnipeg Jet and want to be a Winnipeg Jet. And that's what Rick Bowness has been saying all along, Rod. After Scheifele and Hellebuyck signed their contracts, they want to be Winnipeg Jets. You'll hear him say it again. If there's, somebody comes in, the three players, Alex Iafallo, Rasmus Kupari, Gabe Vilardi, they want to be Winnipeg Jets. They want to be in Winnipeg. That's what's been important. And I think that's why there's been a big change in the lightness in the Winnipeg Jets dressing room. And Rod, let's not kid ourselves. Winning always helps. It's way easier to come to the rink when you're in first place or around first place in the standings.
And happy. And we have less than a minute.
Yeah.
Tell me, please, that's a Herculean task that Rick Bowness has overcome. Shifting the culture and winning consistently. What's next? What's he got to do next?
Oh, boy. I think it's just like making sure that I think it's just not allowing the players to get too big of themselves, which I don't believe will happen. You've played so well. You're being told every day how great you are at this point. Will it sink in, or will you start to take things for granted and start looking for offense and start trying to pad your stats? I just don't see it happening. And, Dominic Toninato has been called up in the minors because of injuries to David Gustafsson. He's got points in 4 straight games. The fourth line is producing. I just think up and down the lineup, there's so much depth that I just don't see this going off the rails the way it did last year, because the players realize if we stay in the structure and play the way the coaches ask us to, we will be successful. And you're seeing the way it's working right now.
Love it. Love it. Man, you're a quality broadcaster, but an even more quality human being, JT. And I think that. All the best. Let's do it again soon.
Yeah, same to you, Rod. And go to the Super Bowl, buddy. You love going to the Super Bowl. Do not hesitate. You belong to be at the Super Bowl on Radio Row. That's your place. I don't want to hear any stories about Rod Pedersen not wanting to go to the Super Bowl. I know it's in Vegas, but get your butt in there. Have a great time because you've earned that opportunity, my friend.
That's sold. Thank you,
Sold.
Jamie. Appreciate it.
Anytime, buddy. Okay.
Jamie Thomas from Winnipeg Jets TV.